There was a time when Francesco Bagnaia moved like the pulse of Ducati itself, smooth, exact, deadly. But 2025 has turned him into something else, a man chasing the ghost of his own rhythm. The GP25, the bike that was meant to be an upgrade to perfection, has eaten him alive. The opening third of the season made the pattern obvious. On Fridays, he looked lost. On Sundays, exhausted. He still braked like an artist, still traced perfect lines, but in a sport that now rewards violence over geometry, that meant nothing. In Thailand, while Marc Marquez danced with chaos and made it sing, Pecco wrestled a machine that refused to listen. Every time he opened the throttle, the front end argued back. Every lap was negotiation, never domination. Ducati created a monster to keep up with the future. Bagnaia thought he could reason with it. But machines don't do mercy, and the GP25 is not a diplomat. Question for the paddock: how can a man built for control survive in an era that demands destruction? When 2025 began, Bagnaia carried 2 world titles and the illusion of security. He had survived Marquez's arrival the way a veteran survives a storm, eyes forward, chin up, pretending the roof wasn't shaking. Ducati told him he would remain the reference inside the factory team. On paper, he was the standard. In reality, the engineers had already shifted allegiance to speed, not loyalty. The winter project was radical: new aero tunnels, revised ride height hydraulics, and a chassis balance meant to sharpen corner entry for a rider who lives on the edge. That rider wasn't Pecco. It was the man parked opposite him, number 93. The first hints came at the Catalunya test, where Pecco's telemetry showed lateral load instability in long corners. Marquez complained too, but he compensated with aggression. Bagnaia requested calmer geometry. The factory didn't revert. The decision was made. The GP25 would be born wild. By the Thai Grand Prix, the split was public. Marquez led the points. Bagnaia hovered around 4th, bleeding confidence. His once unshakable front-end feel had vanished. The data guys saw it: throttle delay on corner exit, inconsistent brake pressure at apex. These aren't statistics, they're symptoms of a rider fighting himself. Through March and April, he tried everything. Swing arm changes, altered seat height, different fork offset. Nothing restored the serenity of the GP24. Meanwhile, Marquez kept pushing further, crashing, learning, conquering. Every crash from Marc felt like a laboratory. Every save from Pecco felt like survival. In the paddock, whispers turned clinical. Peter Baum, one of MotoGP's sharpest analysts, said openly that every rival already knows where Pecco struggles. The riders exchange data in silence. They know his braking zone lengthened by 2 meters, his edge grip evaporates past lap 15, his mid-corner confidence is gone. Everyone sees it. No one says it aloud. Even Nicolo Bulega, once Pecco's admirer, said privately he couldn't believe how the champion had fallen from dominance to doubt. The truth is mechanical, not mystical. Ducati changed the weight distribution to exploit downforce at acceleration, shifting feel from the front tire to the aero platform. Marquez thrives there. Pecco loses feedback. A rider who wins by feeling cannot function blind, so the stage was set. The double world champion entered mid-season surrounded by silence that felt like pity. He still called Ducati his family, but you could hear the splinters in that word. Question for the grid: when evolution favors aggression, does discipline become extinction? The war unfolded circuit by circuit, each track a fresh humiliation. The final act began with numbers. 4 races to go. Pecco 20 points from losing 3rd overall. He hadn't missed a Ducati podium streak since 2022. Now the graphs showed decline sharper than belief. 2 wins all season, 1 clean, 1 gifted by attrition. That's not bad for mortals, but Bagnaia is not measured like mortals. Ducati built a factory empire around his order, his calm, his repeatability. Now that same calm looked like complacency. Inside Bologna, the politics thickened. Gigi Dall'Igna backed the engineering philosophy that Marquez made shine. Test riders Michele Apiro and Fabio Di Giannantonio confirmed privately that the GP25's new rear-end stiffness is hostile but fast. They didn't need to name who it punished. When Piro tested Pecco's baseline setup at Misano, his time was within 0.3. That leaked number told every journalist the same thing: if a test rider can match the double champion, something's broken. Bagnaia, meanwhile, tried to control the narrative. Ducati is family, he repeated at every press event, but his tone betrayed fatigue. The engineers noticed he'd stopped staying late in debriefs. His usual feedback sheets, 10 pages of precision, shrunk to bullet points. Confidence had turned to endurance. His rivals sense it. Marquez, even while recovering from shoulder surgery, has already crossed the psychological line. He knows Ducati belongs to him. KTM's Acosta treats Pecco like yesterday's benchmark. Aprilia's Bezzecchi, injured and still faster, calls him predictable. Once a rider becomes predictable, he's prey. VR46's garage has quietly offered him an exit for 2026. It would keep him in the Ducati family, but remove him from factory scrutiny. Yet everyone in the paddock knows that's exile disguised as opportunity. Moving to VR46 might protect his ego, not his legacy. And what happens if the test rider or Aldeguer outperforms him in the postseason test? His leverage in renewal talks evaporates. Ducati cannot justify two different philosophies under one roof. They will choose fire, not calm. The collapse is not loud. It's administrative, clinical, polite. That's the most brutal kind. Question for Ducati fans: how do you mourn a champion who is still on the grid but already erased from the plan? Bagnaia's tragedy is not incompetence, it's mismatch. He was the perfect rider for an era that just ended. His precision conquered chaos when bikes needed taming. But the 2025 grid isn't about taming, it's about detonating. Aero, downforce, and torque distribution have made MotoGP less about smoothness and more about audacity. Marquez, Acosta, even Binder, they thrive in disorder. Bagnaia hesitates. The GP25's DNA is built for turbulence: high front load, reduced mechanical grip, maximum aero leverage. The more you force it, the better it responds. The calmer you ride, the more it betrays you. Pecco's entire identity, smooth entry, late apex, throttle patience, is punished by this design. That's why his telemetry looks identical to his old title years, yet produces half the result. Ducati built evolution for the future and forgot to build a bridge for its own champion. Psychologically, he's cornered. 2026 is his contract year. 2027 brings the 850cc reset. That means Ducati are already planning the next generation around Marquez and the youth rising behind him. The math is cruel. Bagnaia has one season left to prove he can adapt before being remembered as the man who held the empire just long enough for another king to seize it. But there's still a narrow door open. If Marquez remains injured through Phillip Island in Malaysia, Bagnaia could stabilize, rack podiums, and remind Ducati that control still has value when chaos fails. He must turn data back into faith, show that precision isn't weakness, but insurance. The philosophical question that hangs over 2025 is larger than one man. It's whether MotoGP still rewards art or only violence. Bagnaia is the last craftsman of the Rossi school. Build pressure slowly, explode late, never gamble early. The new order laughs at that. Acosta's style is algorithmic aggression. Marquez's is instinctive attack. Both are compatible with the GP25. Bagnaia is not. So he fights physics, politics, and time simultaneously. Every lap he rides is a negotiation with extinction. But history has seen riders rebound. Stoner in 2011 after Ducati collapse, Lorenzo in 2015 after Yamaha turmoil. Champions reinvent or vanish. Bagnaia's next test is not mechanical, it's psychological. Can he unlearn discipline without losing himself? Can he become savage without becoming sloppy? Because the world already knows his problem. The paddock has shared it, mapped it, laughed about it behind closed doors. The question left is whether he can weaponize that humiliation. If he fails, Ducati's story will rewrite itself. Marquez restored the empire. Bagnaia maintained it until it broke. If he succeeds, he becomes the rarest thing in MotoGP, a man who defeated his own nature. Francesco Bagnaia's 2025 season is the slow death of a philosophy. The GP25 exposed how thin the line is between control and confinement. His calm turned into caution, his precision into paralysis. Ducati's machine didn't betray him, it evolved beyond him. He still has fight left, but the world has changed gears. Controversial truth: Ducati didn't replace Pecco. Evolution did. Comment your verdict. Has Pecco Bagnaia's era ended, or can discipline still survive in a sport ruled by chaos? Subscribe for the next war report. The Red Kingdom burns on, and the ghosts of its past champions watch in silence.